The steam choked the air like a secret I couldn't escape, his hand brushing mine under the scalding spray. And in that split second, the world outside the RV's tinny wall shattered. Because Jordan's eyes weren't just looking at me anymore. They were pulling me under, drowning me in a truth I'd buried deeper than the Grand Canyon scars. My heart hammered against my ribs, louder than the desert wind rattling the vents, as his breath ghosted my neck, whispering my name like a confession neither of us could take back. And just like that, the road trip we'd planned as brothers turned into something feral, something that clawed at the edges of who I thought I was. I never saw it coming, not really. Jordan and I had been thick as thieves since freshman year at UCLA, back when we were both scrawny kids dodging keg stands and chasing dreams that felt bigger than the smog-choked sprawl of Los Angeles. He was the golden boy, blonde hair that caught the sun like it was made for it, easy laugh that could disarm a room full of skeptics, and a body honed from endless pickup basketball games on cracked Venice Beach courts. Me, Alex Rivera, 28 now, with my perpetual 5 o'clock shadow and a job in graphic design that paid just enough to keep the ramen flowing. I was the quiet one, the guy who sketched late into the night, hiding behind my sketch pad like it was armor against the chaos of feelings I didn't know how to name. This trip was supposed to be our reset button. Jordan had just split from his latest girlfriend, some influencer type who'd ghosted him after a blowout in Palm Springs, and I was nursing my own wounds from a string of dates that fizzled faster than cheap fireworks. Road trip, bro, he'd said over greasy tacos at our favorite truck stop off the 101. Just you, me, and this beast. He slapped the hood of the RV we'd rented, a 98 Winnebago with more miles than dignity, its faded blue paint peeling like old regrets. We'd mapped it out, blast up the Pacific Coast Highway, cut east through Joshua Tree's twisted arms, then north to Yosemite's granite cathedrals. No schedules, no drama, just miles of open blacktop and the kind of freedom that makes you forget the weight of the city pressing down. But freedom has a way of cracking you open. We hit the road at dawn, the LA skyline shrinking in the rearview like a bad memory. Jordan cranked the playlist, Springsteen bleeding in a Fleetwood Mac, his voice belting out, "Go Your Own Way," with that off-key charm that always made me grin. I drove first, windows down, the salt-laced wind whipping through as we hugged the cliffs where the ocean crashed like it was angry at the land for holding it back. "This is living, Alex," he yelled over the roar, his arm slung casual over the back of my seat, fingers drumming inches from my shoulder. I nodded, throat tight, because yeah, it was, but every casual touch lingered a beat too long, like the universe was daring me to notice. By nightfall, we'd parked in a dusty pull-out overlooking Big Sur, the wave below a symphony of white foam under a moon that hung fat and indifferent. We cracked beers around a fire pit scraped from the gravel, the flames dancing shadows across Jordan's face as he spun stories from our college days. The time we snuck into that frat party and ended up streaking across the quad, where the all-nighter we pulled cramming for finals, fueled by nothing but Red Bull and bad decisions. Laughter came easy, but underneath it, something simmered. His knee bumped mine as he leaned in to stoke the fire, and I felt it like a spark to dry tinder, heat blooming low in my gut, foreign and terrifying. I'd always chalked it up to bromance, the kind of fierce loyalty that guys like us were like badges. But that night, as the embers died and we crawled into the RV's cramped bunks, his silhouette against the porthole window haunted me. What if it wasn't just loyalty? What if it was more? The next morning dawned hazy, the coastal fog clinging like a lover who wouldn't let go. We pushed inland, the RV groaning up the switchbacks into Joshua Tree's alien landscape. Those gnarled trees clawing at the sky, rocks stacked like forgotten prayers. Jordan took the wheel, his profile sharp against the glare, humming along to some indie folk tune about lost highways. I sketched in the passenger seat, charcoal flying across the page to capture the way the light fractured off the boulders, but my lines kept veering toward him. The curve of his jaw, the way his lips quirked when he caught me staring. "Earth to Alex," he teased, glancing over. "You zoning out on me?" I muttered something about the view, heat crawling up my neck, and buried myself deeper in the pad. We stopped at a hidden hot spring off the trail, the kind of spot locals whisper about. Crystal water steaming in a rock basin, ringed by yucca and creosote that smelled like rain on sun-baked earth. It was paradise, or close enough. No crowds, just the hum of cicadas and the distant call of a raven. "Shower time," Jordan declared, stripping down to his boxers with that effortless confidence I envied. He dove in first, surfacing with a whoop, water sluicing off his chest like it was jealous to let go. Come on, man. It's perfect. I hesitated on the edge, heart thudding, because seeing him like that, wet, wild, utterly at ease, stirred something primal I couldn't ignore. That's when it hit me, full force, as I waded in. The water lapped at my skin, warm and insistent, mirroring the ache I'd been dodging. Jordan swam closer, splashing me with a grin that lit his eyes. You're too tense, Alex. Loosen up. His hand grazed my arm, steadying me against the slick rock, and time stuttered. Up close, without the buffer of clothes or distance, he was all sinew and sun freckles, his gaze holding mine with an intensity that stripped me bare. You good? He asked, voice low, thumb lingering on my wrist. I nodded, words failing, because no, I wasn't good. I was unraveling, thread by thread, into a mess of want and fear that had no name yet. We didn't talk about it then. Instead, we floated in silence, the steam curling between us like unspoken promises. Back at the RV, we scarfed down peanut butter sandwiches, the awkwardness hanging thick as we avoided eye contact. Jordan fired up the engine, barreling toward the Mojave's edge, but the air inside felt charged, every bump in the road jolting my nerves. That night, camped under a sky bruised with stars, he pulled out a bottle of whiskey from the glove box, his emergency stash for deep talks. We passed it back and forth, the burn chasing away the chill, until the words tumbled out. Remember that party sophomore year? He started, voice rough around the edges. The one where I hooked up with that girl from sorority row, and you crashed on my couch after? I hummed agreement, the memory sharp, waking to him shirtless, making coffee like it was nothing. I lied about that night, he admitted, staring into the fire. It wasn't her. It was complicated. My pulse spiked. Complicated. The word hung there, heavy as the desert night. He took a swig, passed it over. I've been figuring shit out, Alex. About me. About what I want. His eyes met mine then, raw and searching, and the whiskey soured in my throat because I knew. I'd always known, deep down, that the pull between us wasn't one-sided. But fear is a cruel bastard. I deflected with a joke, something dumb about alien abductions in the desert, and we let the moment slip away like sand through fingers. The next day dawned brutal, the sun a hammer on the asphalt as we crossed into Arizona's Red Rock country. Sedona's vortexes called to us, those swirling energy spots the new Ager swear by. And Jordan insisted we hike one, chasing enlightenment or escape, I couldn't tell which. The trail wound steep through rust-colored canyons, the air thick with pine and dust. Halfway up, my boot caught a loose stone, and I pitched forward, gravity yanking me toward a drop that plunged 100 feet into jagged nothing. Alex! Jordan's shout echoed off the walls as his arms snaked around my waist, hauling me back with a grunt that vibrated through his chest. We collapsed against the rock face, his body pinning mine, breaths ragged in sync. Time froze, his heart thundering against my side, the press of him solid and warm, his face inches from mine, lips parted in that unguarded way that made my knees weak. Don't scare me like that, he murmured, forehead dropping to my shoulder, and I felt the tremor in him, the fear, the relief, the something more that crackled like lightning. I clutched his shirt, inhaling the scent of sweat and earth, and for the first time, I didn't pull away. I got you, he whispered, and damn if those words didn't crack the dam I'd built around my chest. We made the summit in silence, the view sprawling endless, layers of red and gold bleeding into the horizon, the wind whispering secrets only the ancients knew. At the vortex's heart, Jordan sat cross-legged, eyes closed, like he was listening to the earth's pulse. I watched him, sketchpad forgotten in my pack, tracing the lines of his face with my gaze instead. Vulnerability looked good on him, softening the edges of his bravado. When he opened his eyes, he caught me staring, and instead of teasing, he reached out, fingers lacing through mine. Talk to me, Alex. What's eating you? The question hung, simple and devastating. I swallowed hard, the words clawing on my throat. It's you. It's always been you. There, out in the open, raw as a fresh wound. His grip tightened, thumb stroking my knuckles. Yeah, me too. The admission landed soft, but it ignited everything. The fear, the longing, the terror of what came next. We sat there until dusk painted the rocks in fire, hands entwined, the world narrowing to the space between us. Back at the RV, parked in a secluded BLM spot off the 89A, the tension hummed like a live wire. Dinner was forgotten. We cracked another round of beers, the foam spilling over like overflowed emotions. Jordan's knee pressed against mine under the fold-out table, deliberate now. And when he leaned in to refill my can, his breath fanned my ear. What if we stopped pretending? I don't know who moved first. Maybe it was me, surging forward to capture his mouth, or him, closing the gap with a hunger that matched my own. The kiss was messy, desperate, teeth clashing, hands fisting in hair and shirts, the taste of hops and salt exploding on my tongue. He tasted like home, like the missing piece I'd sketched 1,000 times without knowing. We stumbled into the RV's narrow aisle, bodies colliding with the cabinets, laughing breathlessly against each other's lips. Up here, he gasped, tugging me toward the loft bed over the cab, but I shook my head, heart pounding. Shower. Now. That's how it started. The RV shower, that ridiculous closet of a stall with its dribbling nozzle and mildew-scented curtain. Jordan flicked on the water, steam billowing as he stripped off his shirt, revealing the lean muscles I'd admired in secret for years. I followed, shedding layers like old skin, vulnerable under his gaze that roamed hungry and reverent. The space was tight, forcing us chest to chest, water cascading in a warm veil that blurred the lines between us. His hands mapped my back, slow and sure, pulling me closer until there was no air, no space, just skin on slick skin. But as his lips trailed down my neck, nipping at the pulse point that betrayed my racing heart, reality crashed in like a rogue wave. This was Jordan, my best friend, the guy who'd held my hand through my dad's funeral 2 years back, who'd crashed on my couch after his folks kicked him out for being too much in high school. What if this broke us? What if the morning light exposed it as a mistake, leaving shards neither could sweep up? I froze, hands stalling on his hips, the words choking out. Wait, Jordan, what if we can't go back? He pulled back just enough to search my face, water dripping from his lashes like tears we hadn't shed. Who says we have to? His voice was steady, but his eyes, God, his eyes, held a storm of their own, the fear mirroring mine. I've been running from this for years, Alex. Hiding behind girls, behind jokes, because admitting it meant risking you. But losing you? That's not an option. He cupped my jaw, thumb tracing my lip, and the tenderness in it undid me. We're already too real. Let's own it. The dam broke then, fully. I kissed him fierce, pouring every buried confession into it. The late nights wondering, the jealousy masked as concern, the ache that had hollowed me out. His response was fire, hands roaming lower, bodies aligning in a rhythm as old as the stars wheeling overhead. The shower spray masked our gasps, the RV rocking gently on its shocks like it approved. It wasn't perfect, elbows banged, water went cold too soon, but it was us, raw, real, alive with the kind of intimacy that stitches souls. We emerged pruned and spent, towels slung low as we raided the cooler for water, collapsing onto the fold-out couch in a tangle of limbs. The desert night pressed close through the screens, crickets chirping a lullaby to our whispered aftertalks. So what now? I murmured, head on his chest, listening to the steady thump that anchored me. Jordan's fingers combed through my damp hair, thoughtful. Now, we keep driving, see where the road takes us, together. It sounded simple, but in the quiet, it carried weight, the promise of mornings without pretense, of hands held in public without a second thought. But roads have twists. Dawn brought rain, unusual for the high desert, turning the dirt track to mud as we aimed for the Navajo Nation's edge. The RV fishtailed on a blind curve, tires spinning useless, and suddenly we were sliding toward a washout swollen with flash flood fury. Jordan wrenched the wheel, cursing under his breath, but momentum won. We slammed into a boulder with a crunch that echoed like doom. Glass shattered, the world tilting as we came to a halt inches from the drop, the engine hissing steam like an angry serpent. Hard in my throat, I scrambled over the console, grabbing his face. Jordan, you okay? Blood trickled from a gash on his forehead, but his grin was weak, defiant. Yeah, just a scratch. Adrenaline surged, but so did clarity. In that heartbeat between crash and calm, I saw it all flash. The life we could build, the one we'd almost lost before it began. We radioed for a tow from a passing ranger, hunkered in the cab as thunder rolled, his head on my shoulder, my arm around him. Scare me, I admitted, voice cracking. He squeezed my hand. Me too. But we're unbreakable now. The wrecker hauled us to a roadside garage in Canta, a dusty outpost where Navajo mechanics worked miracles on battered rigs. While they patched the RV, bent axle, busted headlight, we holed up in a cinderblock motel, the rooms smelling of sage and fry bread from the cafe next door. It was our first real test. Confined, no escape, just us and the storm raging outside. Jordan stitched his own brow with a kit from the glove box, wincing but joking through it. Adds character, right? And I cleaned the wound, fingers gentle, the domesticity of it stirring a warmth that chased the chill. That night, rain drumming the tin roof, we talked for real. No whiskey buffer, just truths laid bare. He confessed the isolation of his closet years, coming out to his mom last Christmas, the tears and tentative hugs that followed, but the fear of losing guy friends like me. I thought you'd bolt, he said, tracing patterns on my arm. I shook my head, throat tight. Never. But I get it. I spent so long convincing myself it was nothing, just admiration. Then you smile at me like that, and poof. Illusion gone. We laughed, soft, and shared, the vulnerability forging something stronger than steel. By morning, the skies cleared, the mechanic waving us off with a thumbs up and a story about his own son's journey. Out and proud in Phoenix, building a life unapologetic. Love finds its way, he said, clapping Jordan's shoulder, and we drove on, the RV rumbling steadier, our hands linked over the gearshift. We detoured through Monument Valley, those mittens of stone standing sentinel, red as our flushed cheeks when we'd steal kisses at overlooks. Tourists milled, oblivious, but we didn't care. The world felt bigger, ours for the claiming. Yosemite called next, a haul across Utah's salt flats and Nevada's ghost towns, the landscape shifting from barren to bountiful. We blasted podcasts on queer history, Stonewall tales that hit close, reminding us we weren't pioneers, but part of a lineage of quiet revolutions. Halfway Valley of Fire, Jordan pulled over a slot canyon, the walls narrowing to a red throat that swallowed the sun. Race you to the top, he challenged, and we scrambled, laughing as pebbles skittered, emerging to a view that stole breath, layered badlands glowing like embers. At the summit, breathless and beaming, he dropped to one knee. Not proposal, but play, pulling a wildflower from his pocket, plucked roadside. For the guy who makes every mile magic. I hauled him up, kissing him deep, the wind applauding. But joy's shadow is doubt. And that night, in a St. George KOA, as fireflies blinked lazy, mine crept in. What about home? My conservative family in San Diego, whispers of don't ask, don't tell from my abuela. His folks, fractured but healing, still navigating their son's truth. We'll figure it, he murmured, sensing the shift, but the seed of worry took root. The Sierras rose like a promise as we crested Donner Pass, snow-capped even in October, the air crisp with pine that bit the lungs sweet. Yosemite's valley floor unfolded in glory. Half-domed, sheer-faced, daring climbers. El Capitan, a monolith of dreams. We snagged a site by the Merced River, the rush a constant hymn, and hiked Mist Trail at dawn, water sheeting off Vernal Fall like a bridal veil. Soaked to the bone, Jordan tackled me into a meadow, tickling until I begged mercy, our bodies entwined in grass that tickled back. But paradise tests. A storm blew in fierce, lightning cracking the sky as we dashed for cover. The river swelled, bridges straining, and in the chaos, Jordan slipped on slick granite, ankle twisting with a pop that echoed my scream. I half carried him back, pulse roaring, the ranger station a blur of ice packs and warnings. Sprain, the doc said, but the pain in his eyes, frustration, not just physical, mirrored my own rising panic. In the RV, elevated foot propped, he pulled me close. Hey, this doesn't change shit. But it did, subtly, the fragility of bodies, of plans, underscoring how precious our fragile new normal was. Convalescing by the fire, stories flowed. His first crush on a swim team captain in high school, suppressed until it burst in college hookups that left him hollow. Mine, stolen glances at art class models, dismissed as appreciation, until therapy last year cracked the code. We're survivors, he said, toasting with hot cocoa. And now, we're each other's. The words healed more than the ankle, binding us in shared scars. We limped north, The RVs sway a gentle cradle, crossing into Oregon's Cascades as leaves turned flame. Crater Lake's blue depths mesmerized, a caldera born of cataclysm, mirroring our own rebirth. Picnicking on the rim, Jordan sketched me. First time roles reversed, his lines capturing not just features, but the spark in my eyes he'd ignited. Beautiful, he murmured, and I believed him, the self-doubt fading like morning mist. But the road circles back, and Seattle loomed, a rainy reinvention. We parked by Puget Sound, ferries cutting wakes like silver arrows, the Space Needle a beacon of urban pulse. City nights tempted, bars with rainbow flags fluttering defiant. But we chose quiet, walks hand in hand through Pike Place, stealing salmonberries, his laughter echoing off market stalls. One evening, at a queer open mic in Capitol Hill, he signed us up impromptu. On stage, guitar in lap, he sang an original, lyrics of hidden loves and desert dawns, voice cracking on the bridge about the friend who became home. The crowd hooped, but his eyes sought mine, tears blurring the lights. I joined him for the chorus, our harmony raw, the applause a thunder that affirmed us. Yet, homeward bound stirred ghosts. Over Montana's big skies, radio static crackled family voicemails. Mine from Mom, probing, "When you coming back, Mijo?" His from his sister, "Proud of you, bro. Tell Alex hi." The weight pressed, but we faced it head-on, role-playing calls, scripting truths. "It's us against the world," Jordan said, but I saw the flicker, fear of rejection's sting. The final stretch blurred, Badlands moonscapes, Black Hills whispers of Lakota lore. A breakdown in the Dakotas, alternator fried, stranded us in Rapid City, but a mechanic's garage doubled as haven, owner sharing tales of his trans kid's resilience. Nights in the shop's loft, we made love slow, deliberate, mapping futures and murmurs. A shared apartment in LA, sketches turned murals, trips untethered. Yellowstone's geysers erupted finale. Old Faithful's plume, a metaphor for our boiling passions, contained yet spectacular. Bison grazed indifferent, thermal pools steaming secrets. At a backcountry soak, stars wheeling vast, we submerged, bodies buoyant. "I love you," Jordan said first, words bubbling up like the springs. I echoed it, free at last, the confession of release that healed old fractures. The loop closed in Denver, RV returned scuffed but whole like us. Airport goodbyes loomed, but we chose extension, a train east, then flight prolonging the bubble. In the dining car, clinking glasses to more roads, doubts surfaced final. What if the world's not ready? His hand over mine, steady. Then we make it ready, 1 mile at a time. Landing in LAX, smog familiar as an old friend. We stepped into sunlight hand in hand. Mom's hug at baggage claim held surprise, then softening. "He seems good for you." His folks' dinner that week. Awkward toasts evolving to toasts of acceptance. Life wove on, my designs gracing queer zines, his coaching a youth rec league for out kids. The RV stayed rented, weekends stolen for escapes. Each mile a reminder. Love isn't a destination, but the drive itself, winding through fears to vistas of grace. And in quiet moments, sketching by the window, as he hums off-key, I know we got too real, and it was the best damn thing that ever happened. Because in owning our truths, we found not just each other, but the courage to stand tall in a world that sometimes bends low. The road goes on, but now we're navigating it together, hearts open, wheels turning toward whatever dawn breaks next.